Today on Pro Church Daily, we're talking about 7 important church statistics for 2018.
Well, hey there, and welcome to Pro Church Daily. This is the show where in 10 minutes or less, you're going to get your daily dose of tips and tactics to help your church share the message of Jesus while we navigate the biggest communication shift we have seen in the last 500 years. I'm your host, Alex Mills, joined as always by the boss man, it's Brady Shearer, and today we're talking about 7 important church statistics for 2018.
I'll start this off, Alex, by saying that all of this data comes from Barna Trends 2018, their report and book that I purchased and highly recommend that you do as well. Yeah. We'll have it linked in the show notes. Basically, I read through, the entire book, and I was just making notes, and I wanted to share with Pro Church Nation in this episode of Pro Church Daily the 7 church statistics that stood out to me the most.
Okay.
So when we say important, that's relative, so that's why I recommend you get the book and see what you enjoy out of there. But here are the 7 that stood out to me the most. We're going to talk about them, maybe do a little bit of commentary, but what I almost want to do is say them and basically just allow you to figure out what you take away from them, because that's what is important about data, is that it provides a single point of context. It doesn't tell the whole story. Mm-hmm. And so then it's up to us to interpret that data in light of other data, in light of our own personal anecdotes, and in light of the experience of others.
Just before we get into it, I love Barna and what they do and the data in these books that, you buy them every year, we stock them in the office, and I'll find myself in my downtime just reading through them because, they're beautiful and they're so well put together, but the stats are just so interesting and so relevant to what we're doing as churches. But what's so important is, and that's why I think it'll be good to talk about these stats and just let them breathe, is because you have to take this statistic and then apply it to your own church context. So yes, this is empirical data. This is true, but what does this mean for me? Mm-hmm. And what does this mean for our church going forward based off this trend? Because it's not going to look the same for my church as it does for your church, but we can all make decisions for our churches based off of this data.
Love it. Let's dive in. First statistic, 2 out of every 3 Christians admit to experiencing a season of spiritual doubt. I think it's important to recognize that when you look at your congregation out there, it's easy to think that everyone has it all together, but they don't. And 2 out of 3, that means the majority, 66%, have gone through a part of their life where things haven't made sense, where the faith they've doubted, where parts of it they've been uncertain about. Mm-hmm. And the second stat, similar to this, says that more than a quarter of Christians still find themselves in this season of doubting. Wow. Right? So not just the majority have gone through it one time in their lives. Okay, maybe you went through a period of deconstruction, maybe you had a period of rebellion, whatever you want to call it. You came back to the fold. You came back to the faith. Well, more than a quarter, more than 1 in 4 in your church are experiencing this right now. Yeah. And so again, we want to leave these as much as we can. One point of practicality that I would take away from this is never to assume that what you're saying, even in your own church building, is accepted as fact and truth by everyone. It's easy to assume that everyone, we're all here at the church together, aside from the new visitors, we're all going through the same stuff. Mm-hmm. Well, this data would suggest maybe not. And it's important to empathize with those that are dealing with uncertainty and doubt, because that is a part of faith. You can't have faith without doubt, lest it not be faith. If it's certainty, it's no longer faith.
Right. And from a pastoral perspective, this is something I'm learning going through right now. It's easy to get up at the front and say that this faith, that you can be okay, that, we're on this path towards certainty. And I'm not sure anymore that that's true. And that let's just leave room based off this data and off of our own personal experience. Let's leave room for doubt in our congregations and be able to empathize with the people in our church who are in this place.
Data point number 3, 38% of Americans are active churchgoers. Coming from Canada, I always find these data points surprising because there's no way that 4 in 10 Canadians are active churchgoers. Right. Data point number 4. Actually, there's a little bit more to data point number 3. 38% of Americans are active churchgoers. To round out that full 100% demographic, 43% are unchurched and 34% are dechurched. Data point number 4. Only 9% of churchgoers attend a church of 1,000 or more. This is not new data, but it's always, I think, helpful to reiterate this. We all tend to look up to the big churches because they generally have more creative resources. They have a wider platform, so they're more well-known, and they can do more. But 91%, the vast majority of churchgoers attend churches that are smaller. And so that would suggest that 9 out of 10 people prefer smaller churches. Even if it was 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10, the majority of people prefer attending smaller churches. So if you are a smaller church, and the data would suggest most are, hey, that's okay. It seems like that's what people like.
Yeah, it's good.
Data point number 5, 40% of churchgoers attend a church of 100 or fewer. So this goes along that last one. Yeah, 91% of people that attend churches attend them that are 1,000 or fewer. But even more than that, 40% attend churches that are 100 or fewer. And when we were in La Jolla on our most recent vacation, we attended a Methodist church in the city of La Jolla, and that church is probably 100 or fewer, and that's a great example. Like, that is 4 out of 10 of churches.
Yeah, this one is surprising to me, and which is funny because I pastor a church of 100 or less, and
fewer.
Right, sorry, 100 or fewer.
Thank you.
And so in that environment, and especially, like you said, larger churches have such a bigger presence online, so it's easy to see them and as a small church kind of aspire to rapid growth or whatever it is about that bigger church that you want to be. But, you know, almost half of that 91% who are going to churches less than 1,000, almost half of those people are going to church that are 100 or fewer. And so there are so many churches of that size that are doing really great things, and people love churches that size. So it's all good. Wherever you're at, whatever your church is doing, however big your community is, it's all good.
Statistic number 6 of importance. More than half of all American adults, 58% to be precise, wish they read the Bible more often, and this does not just include Christians as far as I could tell. So the majority of Americans wish they could read the Bible more often. And I think that there are so many different ways that you can apply this, but what we can all take away is, hey, our job as churches should be finding new and creative and innovative ways to encourage our churchgoers and our congregations and our community even, because this is all American adults, to read the Bible more often. I think this is why we've seen the success of Kickstarters like Biblioteca that have taken the Bible and reimagined how it could be presented in the hardware, in the actual physical form, and why the YouVersion app is so great. That was innovative for so many people, and we can just continue to do this. How can we find new and creative ways to help people read the Bible more? Because based on the data, this is what they want.
Yeah, I've been giving away free wallpapers from my personal Instagram account for the last couple of weeks. And just the other day, I actually made my first template this morning. I thought, what if I give away a free wallpaper every Monday to our church community through our Facebook page and have a light box with a scripture verse that was relevant to yesterday's message?
Wow.
Yeah, and so I just created my first template today. I've got the scheduled post to go out next Monday. And so that's just one way that me and in my local church, you know, just an actionable step to have that scripture on the forefront of this device that you're looking at 10, 20, 50, 100 times a day. It's right there. Maybe that'll inspire people. Give them an entry point to read the Bible more.
I love that. Number 7, final important statistic. The ideal form of Bible study, according to this data, 59% is the most popular response, preferred discussion with friends or peers, and just 32% preferred sermons or lectures as the ideal form of Bible study.
Yeah.
And this is a carry-on from important statistic number 6. When it comes to the way that people prefer to explore the Bible, they prefer, more than in any other form, around a table with their friends and people they know, figuring stuff out rather than being in that lecture sermon format where they're sitting in the pew being told what's up. They prefer more that communal approach, and this is why small groups are so important. But again, knowing that this is what people prefer, it allows us to take that data point and say, okay, knowing that, how can we change, adjust what we're already doing when it comes to exploring the Bible? Because if we can do what people prefer more, they'll be more likely to be a part of that. Now we have their attention. And again, that's always the starting point for next steps and life change. You got to get their attention first.
Yeah, and not that there's anything inherently wrong with the sermon style delivery with a teacher standing up and sharing what they believe about this book, but use that Sunday morning experience, that sermon, as a door, as a gateway to what's going on the rest of the week, and facilitate opportunities for people to get around a table with one another and collaborate, have that interactive conversation where they can have their voice heard, they can ask their friends what's going on, and they can get their own hands on this book that we all clearly want to be reading more.
Yeah. That'll do it for today's episode of Pro Church Daily. See you tomorrow. Hey, thanks for watching today's episode of Pro Church Daily. Make sure to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss another video.
And I know you like this one, so why don't you tell us, hit it with a thumbs up, and like it.
See you tomorrow!